you, Chair. We are now live, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our meeting this evening. We are all aware of the very sad news of the passing of His Royal Highness Prince Philip, and in light of that, I'm going to ask in a minute that we do pay our respects by holding a minute's silence. But in the interim to getting to the meeting protocol, I think it is appropriate that we turn off our mobile phones or turn them to silent so there is no disruption during that minute's silence. And can I also ask that where it is possible, cameras are turned on for that minute's silence. So can I ask if cameras can be turned on, please? Thank you very much. Can we begin that minute's silence now? Thank you.
Chair, the minute is finished.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone. I'm sure we all join in wishing the royal family the very best at this difficult time. That brings us on then to our meeting protocol. Just to advise members that unless you're speaking, if you could turn your cameras off, that does help with our video quality. And if you can mute when you're not speaking and unmute when you're called to speak, that would be really helpful. It does improve the quality. Can I also advise that Councillor Shepherd is unable to have a video on this evening? Have we any apologies for absence? We haven't got any. And can I also advise, I didn't earlier, that this meeting will be live streamed and may be shown in future. Any declarations of interest in addition to those already printed on the agenda? Not seeing any. That leads us on to item 4, the minutes of the previous meeting. Is someone prepared to move that they are an accurate record of the previous meeting, please?
Move, Councillor Lloyd.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Beaumont. Are they approved? Any dissent from approving those? No, in that case they are approved. Thank you very much. Item 5, public consultation. I believe we have one speaker this evening, Councillor Kondaka, who wishes to speak on items 6, 7 and 8. I believe that's correct, Councillor Kondaka.
Yeah, that's fine, Chair.
OK, thank you. In that case, I'm going to take the agenda in the order it is written. The next item being item 6, Warwickshire County Council Health and Wellbeing Strategy. And Councillor Beaumont, can I ask you to introduce this, please?
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the report, it provides the Cabinet with an update of Warwickshire County Council's final draft of the Health and Wellbeing Strategy for adoption. The recommendation is that Cabinet will adopt the draft and wellbeing strategy and work with Warwickshire County Council and partners to support the development of locally based implementation plans through the Health and Wellbeing Partnership. Chair, I have been at quite a few meetings in the last year where this strategy has been presented in draft. It's been out to consultation and arrived back. It's been amended in some places. There are some priorities which have changed slightly. We have to hope that the follow through from this strategy, the implementation of these locally based plans to meet the needs of the strategy will be fully adopted, embraced and well financed. So with that, Chair, I move the recommendations and hope we can move forward with action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Beaumont. I do have Councillor Kondaka.
Thank you very much, Chair. I hope you can hear me okay. Yeah, these strategies are always very well consulted on, and they're beautiful documents. But one thing we do need to try and make happen is them to be properly implemented. I mean, air quality is a massive thing for reducing life expectancy, obesity and diet, the amount of exercise people take. And these are all things that both the county, the borough, the government, all sorts of things play a part in. And the one thing that is really important from the borough's point of view is planning. I know we've got a supplementary planning guidance now on hot food takeaways near schools, and that's much to be welcomed. But there's a lot more we need to do on the planning side to have a healthier borough, particularly things like making the areas more walkable. We've had a new development on the Long Shoot Eastborough Way, and my wife Michelle had to fight to actually get the developer to build the footpath link from the development onto the Long Shoot so people could go out and walk and get buses and things. So a lot of these developments are designed very car centric. Obviously we need cars in such a sprawl borough to some extent, but we need to make sure these developments work for walking and cycling as well. And I think planning plays a big part in actually getting a healthier society. And we're failing. Not through ambition, but through the minutiae of details, if you understand. It's making things work and making people have a healthier lifestyle. Air quality, we need to do far more. And the other thing is access to GPs. All this new development isn't generating new GPs at the moment. Money is being collected by the CCG, even land is being collected by the CCG, but we've failed to provide a single additional part, a piece of extra GP capacity. And that is serious. We are finding people longer waits, etc. And the final thing is I'm starting to push hard to get the health centre aspect of transforming Nuneaton built. A small town centre health centre is really useful to actually complement our GPs. Our GPs don't provide all the services now the way the NHS works. Things like blood tests are in like the new town centre. Some of the health stuff is at Hatter's Space and things. And I do think we need more space in the town centre for health facilities. So as part of the push to transform Nuneaton, I think we should take account of the health inequalities and push hard to get that health centre built soon. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Condicott. Are there any points of clarification? I'm not seeing any. In that case, Councillor Beaumont, anything you want to add?
Thank you, Chair. The points Councillor Condicott makes are very well put. I recognise politics are involved at this time of the year, and would fully support any attempt to move forward the increase in facilities in and around Weddington. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beaumont. Can I just make one observation if I can? Happy to support this strategy because it has been through a lot of consultation and hard work really by all of the partners involved. But the one thing I seem to be seeing regularly, and it has been an ongoing theme, is the delay at CAMS, the Children and adolescent mental health service, and I would really stress how important it is that we actually do move forward with that. I see one of the priorities is around children's services, but I think it does need pointing out at every opportunity we can that we really need to make sure children and young people have timely assistance from that service. And historically, sadly, there have been some problems with it. With that, Councillor Beaumont, are you happy to move the recommendations as printed?
Yes, please, Chair.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that. Any other comments before we take a vote on that? No, in that case, then that is agreed. Thank you, Councillor Beaumont.
Thank you.
Moving on then to the next item on our agenda, item 7, which is the COVID-19 Strategic Recovery Plan. This report presents an updated COVID-19 Strategic Recovery Plan to Cabinet for approval. The plan was first approved by Cabinet in September 2020, and since then the country has experienced further waves of COVID-19 and further local and national restrictions. The plan has been updated to take account of the further impact on the council from the pandemic. Timescales have been adjusted where necessary, and actions have been amended and added to as appropriate, or marked as completed. The plan is still focused on 3 strands of recovery: economic, health and community, and organisational. The report recommends that local community groups and business networks be consulted on the plan to ensure that it reflects their recovery priorities as far as possible. The revised plan is shown at Appendix A, and it is recommended that Cabinet approve this plan, with management team continuing to regularly monitor it. Can I invite Councillor Kondaka, please?
Thank you, Chair. We're quite a way, hopefully, through the recovery as far as the virus is concerned, and now we have to recover the businesses and the rest of our society, the education, etc. Talking to people, they see a very sad-looking town in Nuneaton. I assume the same for Bedworth. I unfortunately haven't been to Bedworth for some considerable time, but I do think we really need to brighten up places. Litter, deep clean and things like that. And there's sort of vague mention of a deep clean, but it'd be nice to actually have it in the recovery plan, and almost like a spring clean as well. Yeah, sort of clean up some of the road signs and get a brush and soap, and just generally, sort of welcome people back. Yeah, so it's like when you go to some countries where they have very seasonal holiday market, they paint all the buildings white and they have a proper sort of welcome back feel, if you know what I mean. I do think we need to sort of just walk around the town centres, both of them, and see where we can do a bit more in terms of tidying things up. And I know some of it is also down to the county and the horrendous block paving and issues like that we need to sort out. But I do get the feeling that people are longing to get back, but also they do moan a lot. I think it's probably a problem of walking around and talking to people this time of year. But I think some of the moans are a bit right, are actually correct. Yeah, we do need to try and do a bit of a deep clean. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Condacor. I can advise that actually I was in town, Nuneaton town centre, this morning, and it was very busy, which it really was very busy. I know it's a market day. Your points around walking around the town centre and seeing what needs to be done and cleansing of the town centre are well made, and I know that Jonathan White has been doing a lot of work in this regard to try and make sure that we are meeting some of those things that will assist really to make people feel comfortable and welcomed back into town centres. And as you quite rightly say, Councillor Condacor, some of these issues are county council responsibility, and we need to make sure that they are doing their part as well. Councillor Lloyd.
Thank you, Chair. It's just to agree with Councillor Condacor, certainly on the one aspect. I went into towards the end for quite some time. And the first thing that you do notice is the block paving. And all the block paving, certainly within Bedworth Town Centre. I know there was areas within Nuneaton Town Centre. It actually moves, and you can actually see it moving as a car drives over it. It actually rattles. The block paving, certainly in our two town centres, is absolutely terrible. And you know, it would help if the county used some of their money to actually resurface or make good that block paving in Bedworth and Nuneaton town centres. It would go a long way to sprucing up the town. So I think, yeah, I agree with him. County Council need to step up to the mark and replace or repair the block paving. In my view, it's time it was all replaced.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Watkins.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, it would be lovely, wouldn't it, to send some council employees into the town centres and paint all the buildings and that. But the true fact is that we don't own a lot of the buildings, so we can't do that. We could paint our buildings, but we haven't got many of them. As has already been said, the county council own the highways. They should be doing their bit on the highways. And I know that Jonathan and his very, very small team, in fact, Jonathan and perhaps one or two others, have been working very hard with all the businesses, and they will be doing lots of things coming up shortly. So thank you to the officers involved in working with the businesses, and look forward to the improvements that they are going to be doing. So yeah, we'll continue to work with the businesses, ask the businesses what they want to see, and we'll continue to do that. I have also been into the Nuneaton Town Centre, very busy. The car park's very busy. Good to see people in the town centres again. Let's just hope it can continue. So thank you.
Thank you. The recommendations are as printed at section 2. Are we happy to approve those recommendations?
Seconded, Chair.
Any dissent from that? Thank you, Councillor Watkins. Any dissent from that? And I'm sure the comments in regard to block paving, when we have an appropriate meeting, I'm sure relevant cabinet members can raise that with Warwickshire County Council direct. Okay, that then is approved. The next item is the committee timetables, 2021, 22, and indeed the following year. Before I bring in the public speaker on this, I've had a request from an officer that we change the September date for the Audit and Standards Committee from the 7th of September 2021 to Tuesday the 28th of September 2021. This will allow sufficient time for the audit of the council's statement of accounts to be concluded. Unfortunately, the audit will not have been concluded in time for the 7th of September meeting, and there is a requirement under legislation that we are to submit audited accounts by the end of September. Therefore, I'm happy to move that amendment that Audit and Standards moves from the 7th of September to the 28th of September. In doing that, the rest of the timetable is as written on the agendas. Councillor Kondaka.
Thank you, Chair. We have a lot of planning applications. So the Planning Committee normally meets every 3 weeks. But looking at this timetable, we've got a few planning meetings the day after a bank holiday, and that never works well because you don't have much applications on it because the deadlines are very short, and it's a very poor meeting in terms of the arrangement. So I really would ask that the planning meeting just after the August bank holiday is actually shifted back a week and shifted all the ones after that back a week, because obviously the day after the August bank holiday is not a good day for a planning application meeting. And likewise, on the week of the May Day bank holiday, the 2nd of May is a bank holiday, 3rd of May is planning committee, and 5th of May is the next local council elections. I don't see that as a very appropriate day for a planning meeting either. So it might be we actually retime them and shuffle them around a bit, so that we don't have these planning meetings on the day after the planning, after the bank holiday. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Kondaka. Any points of clarification from Councillor Kondaka? I can say that these dates have been circulated to all group leaders and have been around officers as well. There's been a lot of consideration given to the dates. I have some sympathy with the comments made by Councillor Kondaka in regard to bank holidays, but I don't know the effect of changing those meetings, what the effect, sorry, of changing those meetings will be on the rest of the timetable. So I'm going to suggest that we do approve these with the alteration I've suggested, but ask in the interim, because these will have to be approved by full council next week, if they can be looked at again to see if there is any possibility of altering those planning meetings so that they don't link so closely to bank holidays. I'm not aware that has caused major problems previously, but if officers can just have a little look at it and let the group leaders know prior to full council if there's any possibility of changing that. On that basis, are we happy to approve the timetable of meetings as printed?
Happy to second that, Chair. Chris Watkins.
Thank you. Any dissent from accepting those? No, so that is agreed, and I think it will be very difficult to change those meetings at this late stage, but I would ask that we just have a look to see if there is a possibility of doing that prior to full council. Item 9, recommendations from overview and scrutiny panels. There are none. Any other business? I'm not aware of any, but I do have one piece of any other business I would like to raise myself. This is the last cabinet meeting of this municipal year. I'd like to thank cabinet members for all of their efforts. It's been a very busy period, and I'd like to thank council officers as well, because we've never had a global pandemic since I've been a councillor, and I think the tremendous efforts of both cabinet members more generally, and indeed officers, has been something we should be very proud of. We've worked together very closely, perhaps more closely than pre-pandemic, to make sure that the residents of Nuneaton and Bedworth have continued to have a very good service, that we've protected public health, done our bit working with partners, and at the same time continued all of the fantastic things that have occurred this year in terms of regeneration, housing. I could go on and on, I won't, but I do think it's important to place on record at the end of a municipal year my thanks to colleagues, and can I say in particular to John Beaumont, who actually will be standing down as a councillor at the end of this year. A particular thanks to you, John, for all your service to local government. Councillor Watkins.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was tagged in a post today on social media, and I said that I would bring it up at Cabinet tonight. It was asking that if the council buildings could be lit up orange for a xylocaine, and I said that I would ask this at Cabinet tonight. Apparently Wembley and Clacton Pier are doing it, and it would be very, very good if we could do this on all council-owned buildings that can light the buildings up, to show some support for a local young girl.
Thank you, Councillor Watkins. The town hall And the Civic Hall, as I understand it, certainly the Town Hall, are currently lit in purple as a mark of respect for His Royal Highness and the sad news of his passing. I think at the conclusion of that period, if it is possible, then I think we should try to do that in regard to the sad circumstances that this young lady and her family are in. I think that would be an appropriate thing to do. And I've spoken to officers in that regard already. Thank you for raising that, Councillor Watkins, and we will endeavour to do that if it's possible to do so. Okay.
Thank you.
With that, is there any other matter that is urgent? I believe that was urgent because it's a request that's very recent. Can I thank everybody and wish you all a good evening, and can we cease the live streaming, please, Rebecca?
Yes, Chair, just bear with me.